Federal authorities moved quickly over the last 48 hours to find and arrest Lil Durk, whose real name is Dirk Banks. Prosecutors say Banks even tried fleeing the country after 5 of his alleged co-conspirators were arrested just this week. The family of Dirk Banks seen leaving federal court today in support of the Chicago-born rapper. Banks was arrested in Florida Thursday facing charges of conspiracy to commit murder for hire and conspiracy to use facilities for murder for hire. The 32-year-old was arrested after 5 members of his Only the Family group, also known as OTF, were indicted by a California grand jury this week on charges of conspiracy to commit murder for hire.
We knew when the others were charged that it was a conspiracy and there were multiple players in it. The fact that he's now being charged in such close proximity to those other charges suggests, of course, that this is related to them and that the conspiracy is even wider than originally presented.
Court documents allege that Banks paid for and planned out the attempted murder of rival rapper Quando Rondo in Los Angeles in retaliation for the murder of OTF rapper Davon Bennett, also known as King Von. Prosecutors say hitmen hired by Banks opened fire on Rondo in August of 2022 while he and a cousin were near their vehicle at a gas station in LA. Rondo survived, but his cousin was killed. Now, as prosecutors move forward with the case, members of the OTF group will likely be used to try and turn a conviction.
They will almost certainly be looking to flip someone who's in on the conspiracy and use their testimony against other defendants. Maybe there's a wiretap here. There may be undercover recording. All those pieces will come together to make the case against the defendants.
Prosecutors also accused Banks of trying to flee the country this week after his alleged co-conspirators were arrested. They say Banks booked multiple international flights, which he never boarded. Then, Banks allegedly had plans to board a private jet Thursday, departing from Miami to Italy before he was arrested. This arrest also comes after Banks was recently given the keys to the village of Bellwood and Broadview. Today, the mayor of Broadview responding with a statement saying in part, "The village of Broadview is withdrawing our honorary key to the village granted to Dirk and is terminating our partnership agreement with his youth organization. As mayor, protecting Broadview's interests and upholding the values of residents is job number 1." Lil Durk's team has not responded to our request for comment. We also learned today that Lil Durk donated $150,000 to Mayor Brandon Johnson's campaign in the past. We'll hear the mayor's reaction to today's news ahead on our news at 5.
All right, Shalom. This is your brother Nahalia for the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yashar Allah. And a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwad, who are believing this word, and all truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Bahashem is in the name. Rakah is spirit. Kodash is holy. Akyam is brothers. Akwad is sisters. Shalom means peace. And Yashar Allah is Israel in ancient Paleo-Hebrew. There's Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and verse 26. And it reads, "For God giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he giveth travail to gather and to heap up, that he may give it to him that is good before Yahweh Shema Shai." All right, I want to go into a lesson loosely inspired by the caption or the picture that you see of a popular rapper who is now under a, I guess you could call it a federal indictment, murder for hire. All right, and I feel like through the Spirit, it's a point of edification because it does highlight that this is not our rest. You know, when you look at situations like this, and when you look at for the most part, all of the so-called rich positions as Israelites in this society, it's not a very pleasant place to be in. You know, our people are at such a low estate that they don't realize that wealth is not always equated to, being a high-paid servant. And what I mean by that is that the true wealthy of this society, they don't have to work 8, 10, 12 months out of the year. They're literally born into wealth, meaning that their family, before they were even born, had already established a livelihood for them without them having to work. That is true wealth. But because we're in such a low estate, our people look at rappers and athletes as if they are the pinnacle of success. But this is what comes with it. All right, let's go here. This is Proverbs chapter 10, and I want to jump down to verse 22. And it reads, the blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. And this is why the kingdom is going to be so beautiful, because ultimately we're not going to have to subject ourselves to entertaining other nations of people. All right. Showing off our physical prowess, entertaining, cooking. We're not going to have to do any of those things to sustain ourselves like our people have to do in this society. Whether it's manual labor or some form of entertainment, all right, Jake has to basically lay their body as the ground and be exploited to be separated from their own people. This is why the scriptures say that this is not our rest. And the Lord is setting us up as a nation of people to be established, all right, with great success that doesn't include having to subject ourselves to entertaining heathens. All right, in the NLT, Proverbs 10 and 22 reads, the blessing of the Lord makes a person rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. All right, now let's go into the Hebrew word for sorrow. All right, the Hebrew word for sorrow is itazabah, and it says pain, hurt, toil, sorrow, labor, hardship. All right, and this mugshot, I say it's loosely based on this individual, because ultimately, you know, every Jake that's so-called rich don't have to live like that, where they have to basically funnel money into street beefs. But the ones who are rich amongst our people, they have to go through labor, hardships. Being the only rich Israelite in your family is not it's a flex to a degree. It's a flex amongst other Jakes. But it's truly not a flex compared to the elites of this society. And we don't have, on this side, we don't have true elites that are on the platforms that our people see. And what I mean by that is that the true elites are in a lower state. They're not on these major platforms. They don't have a bunch of resources. The scriptures say the rich sit in low place. So the ones that our people actually see as a banner of success, those are high paid servants. Through hardship and labor, they have to sustain themselves. They go through trials, the pressure of having money and being the only one with money in the family. Whereas you look on the left-hand side, the Rothschilds, we don't even know all of the family. We know certain names. But as a family, they're worth trillions of dollars. Even if you can put a number on it. That means anyone born into that family, they don't have to be known. They don't have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and shoot jumpers or make a hot album. They don't have that pressure. They're born into a family where they're successful based off of their family. And that's going to be us as a nation of people. But Jake don't want to wait for that. They want their consolation now. All right. And keep in mind, a consolation is a prize for losers. This is why even with those backroom deals that Jake take, they still have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. They still have to spend 10 hours in the studio. Just because you see certain pictures with them in different places on the earth, like Cabo and Italy, they still have to toil. They still have to go through hardships to maintain that wealth. This is why Ecclesiastes 2 and 26 says, the Lord gives to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. It's hard to fathom for the average Israelite, but having this truth is more joyful than what these guys have attained. Because one thing about the things of this world, you get used to anything. You can get used to it. This is why Solomon kept going into the vanity and vexation of spirit, because he knew that he was going to give up the ghost and come back. Because ultimately it wasn't the kingdom. So everything King Solomon had, which is way more than any of these artists and athletes have on this side, he still counted all vanity and vexation of spirit, because in the flesh you can get used to those things. But you can't necessarily get used to knowledge, wisdom, and understanding if you've truly received it and been grounded in it. And even though we have tribulation in the world, we're of good cheer through the spirit, because we understand that ultimately our hope is greater. All right, let me go to, I believe it's 1 Corinthians 4. Yep, this is 1 Corinthians 4 and 8. And it reads, Now ye are full, now ye are rich. Ye have reigned as kings without us. All right, and really, that's why it says as kings. Because ultimately, they're not reigning. They're not reigning like kings. They're reigning as kings. And what I mean by that is they don't have any actual power in this society. They don't have the ability to cut off anybody's water. They don't have the ability to speak freely and truly. So it's almost like a guy imitating a king. This is why they take that money, and just like this guy, Lil Durk, they play God in the hood. Because they're richer than the average Jake that they're around, they could pay Jake to do all kind of crimes and all kind of wickedness, and it gives them this feeling of being a king. But to have true kingship, you have to actually be in power, and there's a difference between money and power, and our people don't really understand that. You have rich Edomites in this society that are not elite. They don't have access to the elites. They have money, but they don't have access. And there is a difference. This is why no matter how rich these Jakes get, they're still looked down upon. Because you can't buy your way into that type of rulership. You can't buy your way into that power. And at this point, Esau's separating himself from his own people through wealth. And when it's all said and done, like Yahweh Shah said, what did it profit you that you did all of these abominable acts? You did all of this wickedness to reign for a season and suffer for it, just to come back in the kingdom and have more than you could have ever had on this side. Matter of fact, let's get that. This is Mark chapter 8 and verse 36. All right, and it reads, For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? And that's why Esau get off on that, seeing a Jake compromise their integrity, all right, for fiat currency. That's like a harlot. The scriptures talk about that. How has the faithful city become a harlot? As our apostles talk about, you can buy a nigga cheap. Why? Because Jake is so poor and disenfranchised, they're willing to give up their integrity because they don't look at integrity as something of value. And this is why the scriptures talk about the rich sit in low place, because the Lord isn't impressed with the abundance of items. We're taught to think like that because that's Esau's thought process. This is why his desire is as hell and is as death. Because you can never have enough stuff if that's what you're chasing. This is Luke chapter 12 and verse 15. And it reads, And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth. The scriptures also talk about if riches, if you fall upon riches, roughly paraphrasing, set not your heart upon them. Why? Because your life doesn't consist on the abundance of items that you have. But Jake is so destroyed on this side that they're trying to cover up their shame with money. You know, they're trying to cover up their shame with women when you deal with the Israelite man. But the only way you can truly cover up that shame through the spirit is to put on the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of Yahweh Shemel Shah, to put on your actual beautiful garment. And your beautiful garment doesn't come in Balenciaga. It doesn't come in Gucci. It doesn't come in Versace. It comes with the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shah. And that's why I started with Ecclesiastes, the 2nd chapter. Because that's what the Lord gives to a man that's good in his sight. Now, make no mistake, in the world, we will have trouble. We will have tribulation. We will go through peaks and valleys. However, as the scriptures also say, the rich sit in low place, man. Matter of fact, let's get this. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 4. And I'm going to read that again. Verse 8. It says, Now ye are full. Now ye are rich. Ye have reigned as kings without us. And I would to God ye did reign, that we also might reign with you. Because that is true rulership. When you can share a commonwealth with your people as a nation. The beauty of Yahweh Shah's rulership is that as a nation of people, we're joint heirs. Meaning we now step into our commonwealth. It's diminished now, but at a certain point, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, had a commonwealth. What the world knows today as white privilege. Now that is being destroyed by his own people, but that's really just commonwealth of the ruling class. And in the kingdom of heaven, there will be a commonwealth of Israel. A shared benefit between us as a nation of people under Yahushua. That's the beauty. But Jake don't want to wait. And this is why they're chasing a fool's errand. Because look at this guy. This guy's an example of what the average Jake aspires to be concerning those rap Jakes. The Jakes that are obsessed with music. They desire to be on the same level as a guy like this. Not knowing the trouble that comes behind it. Because a guy like this dealing with putting on this gangster image, you have to maintain it. And when you're surrounded by gangsters, you have to maintain it. Whatever street beef you inherited, you have to maintain it. And what happens? Where does that lead you? So not only did this guy make records that led a lot of Jakes to the jailhouse or the grave, but now he himself is also a victim of his own work. Scripture said the wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. And this is why the Lord said the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is a defense, but when you become in love and obsessed with money to a point where you compromise your integrity, death is waiting. It's just a matter of how it comes to you. And this is why the Lord is making examples of guys like this, because these are the guys that our people look up to. These are the guys that make this covenant with death. With hell are they at agreement, but it only lasts but so long. Because ultimately, you made a covenant with the Heavenly Father before you made a deal with the devil. And the Lord's covenant overrides anything that you made a deal with because you're married to the Lord. And at any point in time, Yahweh Shema Shah can disannul whatever agreement you've made because you belong to him first. All right, I want to jump down. This is 1 Corinthians 4 and 9, and it reads, "For I think that Yahweh Shema Shah has set forth us the apostles last, as it were appointed to death, for we are made a spectacle unto the world and to angels and to men." All right. Why? Because the rich sit in low place. And this is the irony, that the truth is looked at as foolishness and the rich are looked at as poor in a world that is obsessed with vanity. But the beauty of Yahweh Shema Shah is he allows judgments to be made known so that you understand the Lord's thought process, that the Lord's not pleased with the possession of items in exchange for your own soul, for your own integrity. And now Jake is without excuse because the apostles have been out here for decades. Brothers have been preaching for years. And Jake heard the message and they refuse it because they have a moment of comfort, not realizing that that moment is coming to an end. And their obsession with money, their love for money is going to lead them to the MOTB, and that's going to be checkmate. All right, so Lord willing, this was edifying. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yashar Allah. And a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwad, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.